Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking about BB Kids, which is a branch of Balanced Beings clinic based here in Burleigh Heads on the Gold Coast. Now, BB Kids is Brooke Clower, who is our head naturopath and owner of Balanced Beings Little Baby. She's been working on it for years.
Literal years.
Years. It's been an idea and it's finally been birthed into the world. We're basically there. So let's have a little bit of a chat about your journey with BB Kids. Tell us how it all came about.
I feel like whenever I'm in the clinic, I'm literally using the same products over and over again. There's only so much I'm differentiating. No matter if I'm seeing speech issues or if I'm seeing kids with memory issues or I'm seeing kids with eczema, I'm always working on the same things over and over again. And I'm like, these kids, I've got to give them 3 products to get what I want out of it. I wanted to be able to create a product they're actually going to take. It's actually going to taste nice. It actually has everything I want it to have in it. And I want it to be able to be more available for people because I believe that the microbiome terrain is something that should be worked on, and we should be doing some prevention work for children because we are born with what our parents give us. Our parents have now all had many scripts of antibiotics before they come and give us what they're left with, which a lot of times is not great. It's parasites, it's harmful bacteria, and I wanted to really change the trajectory of children's life, which I have in the clinic for many years. I work mainly on microbiome. I do some heavy metal work as well, but all the conditions I treat is through heavy metal clearance or through microbiome terrain, essentially. So I wanted to create products that reflected everything I did in the clinic, were easily accessible for people that wanted to work on their children and they might not have like finances and budget to go see a prac, and that tastes nice so kids actually took them, because I feel like that's definitely a downside to the clinic treating children is some kids are just very fussy.
Absolutely. Compliance is probably one of our biggest barriers, being a kids clinic. It's a really big one. Absolutely. Amazing. So how long has it been in the works for?
Yes. So it's been in the works for, like, I started contacting the manufacturer over 12 months ago, and then I obviously already had the product formulation and what I wanted to do. Tried and tested all the ingredients and products. I've done before and after microbiome reports to make sure it works with these exact ingredients before, to make sure before I even produce the product that it worked, that I loved the product, I loved everything about it, and I know that it works. So like 2 years in the making, but over 13-14 months of actually manufacturing with the supplier, which is so much back and forth.
It is.
So BB Kids is actually 2 products which we'd have in person right now if it wasn't for someone who forgot them. Our videographer over here is doing videos for ads and whatnot, and he forgot to bring them to show us because he's got the samples right now. We get the actual product in 2 weeks when this podcast goes live, so we'll be able to show you. But yeah, we've got 2 different products. We've got BB Kids Eliminate and BB Kids Repair. So if you dive into the naturopathy world, as naturopaths, we always want to look at detoxifying, eliminating, clearing, killing off bacteria, but we also don't want to just leave it at that. If we left it at that, we'd be at risk of other types of parasites or bacteria coming into that empty terrain. Essentially, there's room for something's going to come eventually. The analogy I love to use for the microbiome is, just a random tangent, is a supermarket. Because it's something you can see visually. If you go to Woolworths down the street and Woolworths is full and you open the doors, you can't walk into Woolworths. It's full. That's what your microbiome terrain can get like a lot of times when you've got these overgrowths. If you're going to put a probiotic in, it's just going to be at the door and it's going to have to walk past without entering in. So the supermarket is like your stomach. So probiotics aren't going to work for a lot of people if there's other types of harmful bacteria or parasites present. We need to actually clear out the people from the supermarket, the bad bacteria and parasites, before we can then go put that good in. So that's exactly what our products do. We have an Eliminate, which has ingredients like pomegranate, black nigella, echinacea, cinnamon, those things that we know really work to kill off biofilms, the bacteria, parasites. And then we have the stage 2 product, which then actually puts the good bacteria in we want for children. It puts in, it helps to repair the stomach lining with things like zinc and vitamin D. And it really nice, replenishment, prebiotic, probiotic, all of that. But we actually need to start with phase 1 first. We need to actually be able to get phase 2 to actually work, which is by eliminating first. So yeah, that's how it came about.
So exciting. It's awesome. Yes. Now tell me, so many kids have health issues. What do you think would be some of the key things where you'd be like, you know what, this kid's microbiome needs some eliminatory work?
Good question. So a lot of people always think, oh, but my kid doesn't have any gut issue signs. Your kid doesn't have to have gut issue sign for us to know that it's a gut microbiome related issue. So if your kids always have nutrient deficiencies, or they've just always been iron deficient, it's your microbiome. You're not absorbing it properly. You've got other bacterial parasites that are in the way to impact that iron absorption. That stomach lining's damaged, so then you need that repair to help repair it up. But yeah, your nutrient deficiency is a big one. Things like reflux and colic or stomach pain or constipation or diarrhea are obvious signs that we need to work on the microbiome, and there's some type of bacterial parasite in there or stomach lining damage. But then if we think about speech, we think about behaviour, we know that our bacteria in our stomach impacts this. It drives inflammation by toxin release, which then can cause worsened speech or speech delays or cognitive delays or global developmental delay, all of those types of things, behavioural issues. But again, our neurotransmitters like GABA, like we mentioned in our last podcast, this is dependent on the types of good bacteria we have. So if we don't have that good bacteria present, we're more likely to really struggle with those cognitive or behavioural issues as well in children. So every single condition I've treated, there's only 3 tests I've ever done. I've treated over 4,000 people. And there's only 3 times I've tested a microbiome and it be clear, ever. So
There's always something there, isn't there?
There's always something there. But BB Kids Eliminate is not just for our microbiome. It also has chlorella, spirulina and charcoal, which I absolutely love for heavy metal elimination and detoxification and clearance. So if we've got heavy metals like mercury or aluminium present, it's going to support clearance of these. It's going to bind to the heavy metals with that charcoal as well. But then not only that, it also has some nutrients like zinc to help repair that stomach up from the get-go. Saccharomyces, which we talked in our last podcast, me and Sunny's favourite probiotic, which is in the Eliminate, that has been found to kill off and help clear things like Dientamoeba, bacteria as a standalone, and so it's in that product as well to help really clear everything.
I think my favourite thing about it is that it goes back to like traditional herbal knowledge as well, with the dandelion root and the nigella and all of those things that actually help the liver process out some of those toxins that we're exposed to. So you can use a product like Eliminate without the presence of testing, because you know it's going to work on the liver, work on those bacteria and all of those sort of things as well.
Exactly, and it's ticking all the things we kind of want to look at. Not only do we want to just kill off bacteria, we want to make sure that we don't have biofilms around the bacteria that's going to impact clearance. So if you think about pomegranate, that produces biofilm. So that's in the product, in BB Kids Eliminate. We want to think about detoxification and upregulation of liver clearance, so things like dandelion root. We want to look at different types of antimicrobials that hit different types of overgrowth. So if we think about streptococcus, it works really well. Echinacea works really well for clearance of that specifically. So Echinacea is in there. Pomegranate is used for all overgrowths and all parasites. So again, pomegranate is in there. So does black nigella. So it's making sure we're kind of hitting everything we need to know that it's going to work for that generalized microbiome kill-off. If we don't exactly know what's there, it's going to work on all those ways. So detoxifies, supports liver clearance, kills off bacteria and parasites, and supports heavy metal elimination. Does a little bit of repair with the Saccharomyces and zinc in there as well, so we're starting that process, but then that repair is really going to make it that focus point to get it perfect.
Amazing. Now, why do you think there aren't products like that that do both at the same time?
Good question. It makes me really frustrated that there isn't products like that and ones that actually taste good. I think that as a clinician, you want to look into the microbiome and know what's going on. But I know that that's a weakness for a lot of people because they can't afford to look into the microbiome. And so I feel like no one's hit the ball yet with children products. No one's hit the ball with children's supplementation and kill off. All the children's supplements that are out there, they're working on, let's work on the ADHD with some saffron and zinc. Well, why do we have that to begin with? Because we might not be producing GABA properly to help balance it out because our bacteria is imbalanced. We're not looking at the actual root cause. So even though I'm creating a supplement for everyone, it's still a supplement that I believe hits that root cause of these issues that I keep seeing over and over again in children, and all the products I use in one blend. So I always see, children that have the same issues, that different issues that come to that same cause. So looking at that instead of just giving them a random supplement.
Or like the saffron thing that you mentioned, that would help mainly symptoms, but wouldn't go deeper into the why the child's behaving that way.
So I actually wanted to look at actually having a product on the market for children which doesn't exist. There's nothing that kills bacteria and parasites and heavy metals. That doesn't. There's not that on the market. I really wanted to be able to support children further and children that I can't see in the clinic.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we can't see everyone. There's so many barriers to seeing a practitioner and doing a test and all of those sort of things. So it's a good way.
And going back to tasting as well. So the BB Kids Eliminate's obviously black because it's got charcoal in there. I fumbled and I thought, should I leave it in there? Should I take it out? I know it's going to be one of those things that's going to impact it, but it just is, charcoal just really underestimated for its power and ability to clear heavy metals and bind. So I really love it. And I decided to leave it in there because I think it's worth the risk of maybe some kids turning their nose up it because it's mixed berry flavour. So we've got some mixed berry added in there to help with the flavour, so you can't taste anything but mixed berry, which I absolutely love. It's a product that I think is going to be super easy for kids to get in. If your kid doesn't like the colour of black, you could always mix it with like a chocolate smoothie so they can't see it, because chocolate and mixed berry go together really well too. So you could add some cocoa powder in there to hide the black. You could make it into some like monster gummies as well with the black in there. But yeah, every kid that's trialled it hasn't had a problem taking it, which I think is really awesome.
Amazing.
And then yeah, the BB Kids Repair, it's like a nice lighter colour. It's pineapple flavour, so if your kids don't like pineapple, just mix it in some tropical juice and you won't be able to taste the pineapple at all. Super easy to get in. I actually like the mixed berry more because I'm not a pineapple lover, but it was just really good to be able to hide repair with a pineapple flavour.
Yeah, nice. What are they coloured and flavoured with?
So we've got some natural mixed berry additive in there, and then we've got some stevia.
Nice.
So we don't have like any maltodextrin or anything like that added to the products.
Yep, great.
Yes.
And no sugar, obviously.
No.
What's the youngest age that you can start this range?
Good question. So we can start it as young as 1. If your child is below that like 13 kilogram mark, send us an email and we'll make some adjustments to the dosage. We're always here to help at BB Kids as much as we can. And from 1 year onwards, we will start with it. But that's obviously a Salisbury ruled for the average age dosage. So everything we used in the BB Kids product range is being Salisbury ruled for the average weight or the lower end weight for that age, so it's super safe. So for example, if a 3-year-old is 20 kilos, we've made that dosage for every ingredient that's in there Salisbury rule, which is the safest way to dose for children, at that 17 kilogram mark, so that it's super safe on that lower end.
Yep. Okay. Now, what kind of common problems in kids would you see your products solving?
So the biggest things that I see it solving is obviously very common gut disturbances that you have with kids. If a kid always has a parasite they just can't seem to get rid of, or they've got reflux, or they've got colic, or they're having speech delays, or they're having behavioural issues and outbursts, or they're having issues trying to get to sleep, they're having anxiety. Honestly, pretty much everything I found in the clinic has related back to that microbiome and heavy metals. It's all I treat in the clinic. They're my focus points always, and we've been able to treat all those conditions through that. So honestly, it's not something that I think it should be given because your child has a disease or a health condition. I think BB Kids should be used as a prevention tool. I think that every kid, once every 3 years, if they're not working with a naturopath, should be doing a BB Kids Eliminate and Repair protocol to help balance that terrain out to make sure it stays nice and healthy as a prevention tool.
Yep. Okay. Now, putting you on the spot, give us some research on Eliminate, your key nutrients in there that you love, and some really cool evidence that you found.
Yes, okay, cool. So I love Saccharomyces. We've talked about this in our last podcast.
We're obsessed. We're groupies.
So, Sunny, you tell us the research with Saccharomyces, and then I'll go into pomegranate.
Yeah, Saccharomyces has been used very early on. So some of the first evidence with Saccharomyces was like diarrhea. Really boring traveller's diarrhea.
Yes.
And then it started...
Still what it's really well known for as well.
Still really well known for that. And then it moved into... about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we were in like this Candida era where everything was anti-Candida.
Oh my God, it was.
It was all naturopaths did back then, really, with gut microbiome.
Literally.
Anti-Candida diet.
Everyone was obsessed with Candida. It was the only thing that existed.
That was it. And SB was very well renowned for that.
It is.
But since then, like, the evidence changed into the IgA, the calprotectin levels. Another one we didn't mention before is short-chain fatty acids. It increases butyrate levels. So it really does feed the colon. It's a really good feeding tool.
Yep, 100%. Also helps to repair secretory IgA. That SB has been found to help repair secretory IgA in studies as well. So that stomach lining health, absorbing nutrients, SB is really going to help with that, which is in that BB Kids Eliminate. My focus points and my key stars there would be Echinacea. Echinacea is well studied for the immune system. So not only is it going to support, helping to eliminate bacteria like Streptococcus and some specific ones that Echinacea does, but Echinacea really supports the immune system, T helper cells. So if your kid's always getting sick, Echinacea is a really good product, that ingredient that's in BB Kids Eliminate. I love pomegranate because it's really well studied for parasites, and really good clinical success in the clinic for pomegranate with Dianthromoeba and blastocystis in the clinic when used in conjunction with SB. So I think pomegranate would probably be my favourite herbal for children. Because it just works so well, and it's well tolerated in the clinic because of its taste. It's a fruit peel, I believe, so it really helps with tasting. Besides that, I really love cinnamon. Cinnamon is really good for biofilm breakdown, so that sometimes bacteria has, depending on the type, has a film around it, which if you're not going to break the film apart, it's not going to clear out the body. So cinnamon has been found to help break apart that biofilm. But cinnamon also helps to regulate blood sugar levels. So if we have kids that have metabolic disease, or they're overweight, or they're always constantly craving sugar, or they're like, I want sugar now, it's all I want, I'm hungry. BB Kids Eliminate is going to help to balance that out and help with their blood sugar levels.
Definitely. Hangry little kids is not a good thing.
100%. I also love it, BB Kids Eliminate, because it's got zinc in there. So zinc is really, really good because a lot of kids don't have a lot of appetite because they're low in zinc, or they're not absorbing nutrients properly. And again, zinc helps with that secretory IgA and that leaky gut picture to help repair. BB Kids Repair also has zinc in there, of course, but it has the other nutrients like magnesium and vitamin D, which kids are commonly low in, which really, really supports bringing those stores up once we've repaired and done some work first. BB Kids Repair, I feel like I haven't talked enough on. It's obviously the secondary product for the main focus of BB Kids Eliminate, but Repair has got that vitamin D in it, that zinc in it. It's got things like marshmallow root and licorice to really calm that inflammatory response down, but really help to repair. A lot of kids sometimes need like a lot of repair work when they've had so much go on in that stomach. Secretory IgA can be quite low, and it can take a few months to really get better. But Bifidobacterium, Lactobacillus, specifically Lactobacillus rhamnosus is in there, which I love to help with kids that are low in iron, because it's one of those probiotics which help with increasing iron levels for children, which is a really common deficiency as well.
Absolutely. With iron deficiency as well, obviously there's so many common deficiencies kids have. Iron, yes, but vitamin D deficiency is a really, really crucial one. Vitamin D is so important for their immune function, eczema, to restore microbiome. There are links between vitamin D and microbiome restoration as well. 100%. Why do you think so many kids are vitamin D deficient?
I think that so many kids are vitamin D deficient because we're putting sunscreen on kids all the time.
Slip, slop, slap.
We're so scared of them getting cancer that we're so worried about excess sunscreen use that it's causing vitamin D deficiencies, which is then not only impacting everything that Sunny just mentioned, but also their immune system, their bone health, osteoporosis risk when they get older. All of that's going to start happening a bit earlier on now that we're all using so much sunscreen use. So going on a slight tangent, if you are thinking about what our recommendations are for sunscreen use, what would you say yours are, or what do you do with your kids?
My recommendation, my kids are brown, so they they don't have the same rules as your kids.
Tell me what your kids' rules are, and I'll tell you what
no sunscreen. No. We do use sunscreen.
Everyone's like, holy fucking oh my god.
No, we use a mineral base sunscreen, but only in summer and when they're in the sun for more than 30 minutes.
Awesome. Same
Otherwise,
even though my kids are white.
Yeah, you've got little whiteys.
Very white. Oh my god.
Very white.
So white. They do get sunburned easily,
that's
but
their thing
not
for
unless
us.
they're in direct sun.
Yeah.
So if
fine.
they're in, I'm a bit more lenient. I do more if they're in sun for more than an hour, because they're never in direct sunlight for more than an hour.
Exactly
if we're
right.
at the beach, we've got a cool cabana thingy up. We're at the park. There's leaves. There's trees. So my kid probably only wears sunscreen when we're at nippers, because we're in direct sunlight for 3 hours doing nippers.
That's totally acceptable. The other thing with vitamin D, just recently the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne has recommended every newborn baby be dosed with vitamin D, even if they're breastfed.
Wow.
So now there is a recommendation
So much deficiency
so much deficiency that babies that formula-fed babies are safe because most formulas have vitamin D, but a breastfed baby
Yes.
needs vitamin D drops from birth.
Wow. So yes, BB Kids Repair has that vitamin D in it. So it's going to get those levels nice and high. Once we know we're actually going to absorb it, once we've done that kill-off protocol, that detox protocol, that heavy metal clearance.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about the quality of the product. Is it Australian made?
Yes, good question.
Where's it sourced? Sustainability? What's
Yep.
it stored in? Those things matter.
So with herbs and nutrients, it honestly depends. Specifically with herbs, the places and origins is going to be dependent on where we're going to find the most active constituents. So honestly, all over the world is where a lot of the herbs and nutrients are sourced. It's Australian made up in Queensland here, so all Australian made, of course. But yeah, so we want to obviously focus on good quality products and ingredients, which is why it took us so long to look at sourcing and all of that. So yes, not all found in Australia because obviously it depends on where soils are, where things grow properly with the herbs in particular.
Excellent. Amazing. Now, tell us a little bit about the manufacturing. How long has the manufacturing taken?
I don't want to talk about it.
Yes. PTSD.
I've got PTSD, honestly. So manufacturing is such a long process. I thought that we would have the product in January. It's going to be now released in July. So just so many issues that go wrong that you don't realise. For example, like we had a jar malfunction issue. So we have all the product that was currently mixed up in the warehouse and all done at the lab and all safety approval, everything ticked off, everything ready to come to us. And then we had an issue where the jar lids were, when they were opening and then doing tighten back up, some plastic would come off, so we had to get rid of, obviously they trial that before they put it all in, so thankfully all of the products was just in big tubs before they're in the proper jars. But things like that, that's like a 2-month delay right there, getting new jars, because you don't just need a few jars. We've got 5,000 stock, so it takes time for those jars to be made and then ready again after that malfunction. So things like that is our biggest delay so far, and those jars originally took 3 months to arrive before we had that malfunction, which is what caused that delay. And then the sourcing of the ingredients, we got to make sure we're getting the right type of sourcing and then having them actually arrive in the clinic, into the lab for them all to be made up. Then we got to get a safety approval. We've got to check that everything that's actually in the product is actually in the product. It's all got a tick of approval, all of that. So like that QA and the specs and the labels and all of that, it takes time because you've got to get it all essentially approved internally to make sure what you've actually got in there is what you've got in there. And it's, you've got the CFUs and the probiotics are actually there.
So important. So important.
So that's the biggest thing with delays is all of that, and it's my first time ever doing this process, so obviously things that I need to learn as well. I went back and forth on the ingredient formulation and the exact dosages 3 times, so that delayed things until like October last year.
Massive.
But you know a little bit about product formulation with your past history.
It's a huge undertaking, from looking at the evidence, deciding on the dose for each nutrient, and then formulating and quality assurance. And the thing with product formulation is you've got to make sure the CFU count, the milligrams and everything are that amount at expiration date.
Yes.
So BB Kids has like a 3 or 4 year expiration,
it's
right?
2 years actually, because we wanted to make sure that you've got to make sure it still hits what it hits when it expires.
Yeah, exactly. So I could take BB Kids on the last day of September 2027 when it expires, and it should be as is.
Yes.
Because that is a rigorous sort of testing that food manufacturers do.
Yes. So that's fun.
It's a lot. It's so much. Okay, so what if there's any reactions with BB Kids, adverse events, etc.?
Before I talk about that, I forgot to add about one of my favourite things about the products is the fact that they're in mirror and glass jars, which is super important when we think about active constituents. So you think about our herbs downstairs, MediHerb, that all the herbs we use are in these amber jars, and that reduces the sunlight exposure to reduce how good that product ends up being long term. So the reason I went with mirror and glass jars is because they're really protected. You can reuse them in your house and environment. They're very expensive, so you better reuse every single one that you guys have. I swear to God. But yeah, mirror and glass jars are super good because it's going to reduce the risk of it going like off, or the dandelion root has an active constituent that has been found to have the benefit of liver detoxification. So if we don't store in mirror and glass jars, then or amber glass jars at the minimum, then there's a reduced risk of that active constituent still having that power that we know actually works, which I think a lot of people forget in that manufacturing process. It's worth putting in some extra money
Definitely.
to do that. But yeah, honestly,
Well,
1/5 of our cost was the jars.
Yeah, and it's so important to do that because if you've got the wrong packaging, that can cause moisture to get in and
Yep.
it just ruins the whole product.
Yep. 100%. What was the question you asked before I went on my tangent?
I don't know. Any adverse events
yes,
that
okay.
we may see with
Great
either
question.
product.
Yes, so discharge reaction is something common. It's something that we see in the clinic. I'm going to get Sunny to explain what discharge reaction is, and then I'm going to explain how it relates back to BB Eliminate, because obviously you know what the healing crisis, aka discharge reaction.
Yeah.
So
with a discharge reaction or a healing crisis, it can happen with anything you do, anything you take internally, anything you put on your skin topically, a reaction can occur. So if you do a liver detoxification, gut detoxification, nutrients, so you've got charcoal, dandelion, nigella, etc., which are liver herbs, they can actually cause a worsening of signs and symptoms before
Yep.
things get better.
Yep.
So a healing crisis generally will see some sort of a flare-up in symptoms. It may cause diarrhea, maybe constipation, it may be a skin flare-up, it may be sleep disturbances, etc., before things start to fall back into place.
Yes.
And it's the body's way of saying, whoa, what's going on here? I don't know what to do with this sort of nutrition and elimination protocol, etc. So it flares up and then it cools right back.
So I believe this is one of the reasons people haven't given you guys a really good product that you can buy on the market, because they're thinking, well, if I give this product, they're going to have a discharge reaction and they're going to stop taking it. I'm just going to educate you guys till the cows come home about a discharge reaction, when it happens, what to do if it happens, how to adjust the dosage, what to do, so you guys feel comfortable and confident to do this, knowing that this might likely happen. Probably happens to not everyone, probably
Not
about
everyone,
25% of people, I would say, that are going to take BB Kids Eliminate are going to get this discharge reaction. So the reason that this happens is because your body hasn't had anything like this before. There'll be parasites that they don't want to die off. There'll be bacteria that doesn't want to die off. It's going to cause a reaction, so you stop taking what it's going to do to kill it off as well. When we're stimulating pathways like liver clearance, your body has never done that before. It's never really upregulated and cleared out heavy metal, so it can likely cause a reaction. It doesn't mean it's going to, it just can. And I like you guys to be warned about why this happens and that it's of benefit. An analogy I like to use with the discharge reaction is thinking about alcohol use or drug use. So if we think about alcohol use, you think about people that come off alcohol use when they're addicted. They go through that reaction, right? Just because they're coming off alcohol and their body is starving and they want it and they can't function, they can't think, they have cognitive delays, they've got no memory, which they never had when they were on the alcohol. Does that mean that they're better off on the alcohol? Of course not. We know that that's obviously not true. That of course they're not better on alcohol, which we know is dangerous, it's poisonous, and it's not good for the human body. But people don't think about this when it comes to natural health, which is really similar.
Yeah.
Our body needs to reach homeostasis, so this good balance. It's not going to be able to do that until we work on these factors on the side. So just like our alcohol and drug use, when coming off it, we are going to have possibly a discharge reaction if your body is working really hard to get you back into that homeostasis.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, with the discharge reaction, would you say, how long do you think it would last?
Yes, good question. So if you're noticing the discharge reaction lasts more than 10 days, reduce the dosage of BB Kids Eliminate by 50%. But keep in mind, BB Kids Repair shouldn't cause any issues. It doesn't detoxify or kill off. It's just repairing and making everything better. Repairing the stomach lining, getting you nutrients, pre and probiotic. Unless your kid maybe has SIBO, the prebiotics might be too much, which we'll go into detail about in a second. But yeah, BB Kids Eliminate, if it's happening for more than 10 days, reduce your kid's dosage by 50%. It might just be too much for them. They might need to have a slower, small dose. And if that's not enough, then you're noticing still the same reactions after 10 days and you've reduced the dosage and now it's maybe day 15 and you're still noticing it, then what might happen is your child might have that really low vitality and they might need some repair first. So what can happen sometimes is we need to do a bit of repair first. So if we look at a report and we see a secretory IgA at 100, we're not going to go in and kill off bacteria. We're just not going to do that because we know that that's going to cause the symptoms to be worse. So we're going to go and use repair first to help with that stomach lining and secretory IgA be repaired. So things like zinc and vitamin D and licorice and marshmallow root and glutamine, that's all in BB Kids Repair. We would use that to help repair that secretory IgA before we go in and kill off. So that might be what's happening to your child if the discharge reaction is still happening after 2 weeks and you've reduced the dose by 50%. If that's what's happening, go to the BB Kids Repair, do that for a month, and then go back to the Eliminate at that half the dosage. I believe that's going to clear out about 80% to 90% of kids' issues.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Now, is there any kids that you would say shouldn't use the protocol?
So the only time that I believe a child shouldn't use a protocol is if we have exposure to mold. So the reason being is because charcoal is something that helps clear out mold and bind to mold. But if we're doing this before we're doing mast cell stabilization, so using high-dose zinc or quercetin or vitamin C, we can actually make mold symptoms worse and flare up. So if you're noticing your kid might have mold symptoms or mold issues, or your child is not getting better, we might go and question that mold component, because that is going to make those symptoms worse if your child's been exposed or is currently in mold.
Yep.
Not all mold cases, but
Yep.
it's possible, and so that's something that you guys should be aware about.
Yep. Okay. So as a bit of a case study, say I've got a 5-year-old kid comes in. Obviously, we're not doing any microbiome testing. Mum's reporting, child's a bit anxious but can be hyperactive as well and bouncing off the walls with sleep sort of issues.
Yep.
What kind of protocol would you recommend? Like, how long do they need to be on it for?
Yes.
When to move on to repair? That sort of
Good
thing.
question. So obviously, we have some trainings that's going to be provided to naturopaths to help them with support of BB Kids Eliminate Repair, what to use on top of these, what to not use on top of these for certain conditions. If you are seeking a naturopath for further support, that will be available to the public. So if you're a naturopath and you want to know when to use it, when to not use it, and things like that, like I've talked about, we'll be going into that in more detail and what to use in conjunction, like can we use omega-3s or iron or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that on the sideline, and now I've completely forgotten what your question was.
Say you've got like a 5-year-old child. Too many thoughts.
Yes.
Only one voice.
I remember it now.
Yeah, so a 5-year-old child with anxiousness but can be hyperactive, sleep issues. How long do they need to be on each phase?
So those are really common symptoms for
Yeah, they
bacterial
are.
overgrowth or heavy metals. Those symptoms that you just explained. So we go BB Kids Eliminate first.
Yeah.
Because we don't really have any leaky gut symptoms there. So BB Kids Eliminate we do for 8 weeks. That's the protocol we're recommending for everyone, and then repair for 10 weeks.
Okay.
We generally want to repair and do recolonisation and prebiotic work for longer. We don't want to do Eliminate for too long because we don't know what's actually in there, right?
Yeah.
So we're making a general assumption of how long to go on it based on what's in it.
Yeah.
So that's what we recommend to do as a protocol, as a general protocol. Obviously, if you're working with a naturopath and you're wanting to use BB Kids Eliminate and Repair because it tastes nice and you know that your kid has heavy metals and bacterial overgrowth, then you can work alongside your naturopath and they'll give you more specific recommendations on how long to use it based on the heavy metal levels and based on the bacterial overgrowth. Like if I had a client that had parasite at 500 and Klebsiella at 300, I'd be doing BB Kids Eliminate for 3 or 4 months, but I would be doing repair from like 5 weeks onwards to help that recolonisation when I'm on that long-term kill-off.
Okay, so you can overlap them as well.
You can overlap them, yes.
Yep, interesting.
If you're
That's
working with
really
an
good to know.
naturopath.
Yeah.
Because I don't want
yeah.
people like double dosing or anything
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us the story. What was the whole inspiration behind kids? And, you've got the children's and mothers clinic and now a children's product line. Give us a story.
Yes, of course. So when I was with my daughter, she was getting sick. She had like this random onset of behavioural outbursts, Indiana. And she also just kept getting sick all the time. But it was mainly the diarrhea and behavioural outbursts that she was struggling with. So I was in uni studying at this time. So I was in year 3. So I was still like a little student.
Yeah.
I went and saw a naturopath. I'm not going to disclose who. But they didn't do any testing with my daughter or look into what's wrong. They just said, oh, she'd be zinc deficient. Let's give her some zinc and we'll see how she goes. Let's just go from there. And they didn't really have an answer as to why the symptoms were occurring, which felt really frustrating for me. And they didn't look deeper. And so that's how Balanced Beings was created, like a testing-based clinic, because I actually went and did my own diving. I went to the GP myself and said, no, I want to do a parasite test. These symptoms don't make sense. We know as naturopaths Amoeba, which is what she had, causes an onset of behavioural outbursts and diarrhea. We know that. And so I found Amoeba in her. And so that made me really frustrated that I went to a naturopath, I went to someone that's meant to be qualified and professional, and they didn't fucking test.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why my child was suffering from what she was suffering from. She was getting sick all the time because that stomach lining was clearly damaged from the Amoeba as well.
Yeah.
That's
Interesting.
Echinacea. So yeah, that really annoyed me. And then that's how BB kind of started. And then obviously I do microbiome testing all the time. We probably run like 30 microbiome tests every week out of all the children we see, at least. Heavy metal testing too, and nutrient testing, and that's all I do in the clinic on repeat. And so I just noticed that I was using the same products on repeat. I was always using pomegranate, I was always using charcoal, I was always using Echinacea, I was always using SB. When I was preparing, I was always using a prebiotic with bifido and lactobacillus. I was always using glutamine and zinc and vitamin D and magnesium. So I'm like, but I was annoyed that I'm not giving a client full products.
Yeah.
It's costly.
It's a lot.
It saves money using BB Kids. You're saving money compared to how much it costs to use 3 or 4 products for children.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to go use a liquid herbal for pomegranate and Echinacea, and then you'd have to go use some SB standalone product, and then if you want to go do some like slippery almond glutamine, or like larch, you'd have to go then use a third product.
And it's so much better for children, but it's so much easier for the parents as well, because obviously it can be really overwhelming for parents to dose, 4 different things and then chase the kids around and make them take it and do a reward chart and all of that. So I think it really takes out that really big barrier that we have.
Especially when the kids are asking for the supplements. Like my kids, we did the photo shoot last week and they're actually obsessed with it. Indy prefers the black mixed berry, and Sterling's like, no, I like the repair.
He likes
they're
the
fighting
pineapple.
over it, and like,
that's
we're
so
trying
cute.
not to get them to drink it all when we're doing the photos, and they're just like drinking it.
Nice.
Is, really
that's
cute.
so good to know.
Yeah, so it's really good. And like, even if I just love it because even if your kids don't take it on its own, it can just be so easily mixed into something, which is why I love it. Like, again, like that black charcoal, put it in a chocolate smoothie with the mixed berry in there. Or we've got recipe cards that will go out with every product as well. That will have the recipes that we've tried and tested that work the best to fully hide the flavour if your kid doesn't like the flavour. But every kid we've given it to so far likes it. So we haven't had any issues for compliance, which was my main goal. I'm not going to create a product that doesn't taste good.
Absolutely.
Because that's the main
wasteful.
weakness in our clinic as well.
It is. It's one of our biggest issues that we have is compliance due to taste.
100%.
So who can take BB Kids? What's the upper limit of age? So one as young as 1, but what about as high? Can I take it?
Yes, you can. Adults can take it, but keep in mind that it's obviously going to be like double the dose.
Yeah.
So on our FAQs on the website at bbkids.com.au, we've got, if you're an adult, this is for your dosages and stuff. So if you do want to take it alongside your child, that can help with compliance as well. So it's definitely fine for adults to take, but keep in mind that a lot of adults aren't going to need just 8 weeks to kill off. If they've been doing heavy metals, they have had heavy metal exposure for 30 years, you're going to need longer than 8 weeks. Yeah.
Okay, but it's just a matter of finding the right dose, and then it's obviously suitable for adults.
And on our BB Kids product, it has different age groups and their dosage. So the dosage depends on your child's age, because obviously as they get bigger, they need a more therapeutic dose for their age group. Which
Amazing.
is based on the average weight for that age.
So I want to read some more of this research. Where do I go?
Good question. So I spent a lot of time. I obviously wanted to have a product that has that research that's proven for every ingredient we've got. I wanted to show you guys why we use that. So from the green banana powder that's in BB Kids Repair, to the zinc, to the magnesium, to the larch, to the glutamine, all of that, every ingredient that we've got in these products has got research on why we used it, because I want you guys to understand why. So if you go on bbkids.com.au, we've got our ingredient research, so the research for all the ingredients we've got in the products, so you can look at why we're using them and why, but also microbiome research. How is microbiome linked to ear infections? How is microbiome linked to ADHD? How is microbiome impacted to speech? So all of those links we've got, so you guys can understand the benefits of why it's going to be life-changing and really impact your child's life trajectory taking this product and their terrain.
Yeah, amazing. So BB Kids website, and do you have social media channels we can follow?
Yes, so if you go onto Balance Beings, that's where BB Kids will be, as it's a part of Balance Beings. So yeah, head on to the same Instagram page, which is where you guys will be able to find BB Kids.
Amazing. Yes. Thank you, Brooke.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys, for listening in to our launch of BB Kids. We're so excited for you guys to try and tag us in your products. Until next time, may your days be balanced and your weeks be healthy.